Finally, Manchester City have been charged for a breach of financial fair play. According to Martin Ziegler, these sort of rule breaks are unprecedented and could result in Manchester City being deducted points or even expelled from the Premier League. So let's get digging deeper into this financial investigation. Should Manchester City be punished? And if so, how? But first, the intro. What's up everyone, welcome back to the Stonadge channel, and I didn't think I'd be making two financial based videos in a row, but here we are, and we're talking today about another side in blue, not Chelsea, but Manchester City, and their potential mismanagement of their finances in good faith, according to a statement from the Premier League. So the news came out this morning that Man City have been charged by the Premier League on 98 breaches of their financial rulebook from the seasons between 2009-10 and 2017-18. So an official Premier League statement read as follows. In respect of each season's 2009-10 to 2017-18 inclusive, the Premier League rules applicable in those seasons that required provision by a member club to the Premier League is in the utmost good faith, this is very key wording, of accurate financial information that gives a true and fair view of a club's financial position, in particular with respect to its revenue, including sponsorship revenue, its related parties, and its operating costs. So, this tells me, in good faith, so that showcases that the Premier League seem to believe that Manchester City have been lying about their accounts. They presented these in good faith and showcased that, yes, we are legitimately making our money this way. Fine, okay. Sponsorship revenue. This is potentially where the good faith bit comes unstuck. And they've had numerous stories. We've heard so many stories, in fact, over the last 10 years about dodgy sponsorships and different dealings with the City Football Group, which we're not going to go into detail of today because that would be a completely different hour-long video. But it's basically clear to the man with a keen eye that Man City are definitely fiddling with their books, or at least cheating a little bit. Now, obviously, within this video, we're not just going to be talking about Man City. We're going to be talking about FFP as a whole and how I think it probably needs to change. And Man City have exploited it, but they've got through basically every loophole, and maybe this time they're finally going to be punished. So 3 years ago, Man City were originally punished by UEFA. So this is by the Premier League. This is by the domestic league. But 3 years ago, UEFA punished them, and it looked like they could have been banned from the UEFA Champions League for a period of time. This ruling was overturned by the Court of Arbitration for Sport. So Man City got away with that one there. But if they're proven guilty this time, and it has got to go to an independent financial investigator, if they are found guilty, it could result in some serious sanctions for Man City. So let's go back to 2004-05, and it's a slightly different story, the Calciopoli scandal, in which teams were getting in behind and picking favourable referees. But I have no doubt that potentially Manchester City will have had dealings outside of their financial ruling. So let's go back to the last time a big team, and we're talking a massive team, were in trouble for a financial scandal. The Calciopoli scandal, Juventus, of course, was more a statute of a favourable referees, but they were still punished heavily by the Serie A, the Italian Football Association, and UEFA, being relegated to Serie B. Now, I don't think this will happen to Manchester City unless their points deduction is so vast that it leaves them in a position where they're going to be relegated from the Premier League. But at the same time, I do think that they can learn from this, and they will be pouring all of their hearts, souls, and pockets into getting lawyers that can save them from a potential fate of relegation. But it also did see the restoration of the 2005 Scudetto title to Inter Milan. So, how on earth will Manchester City get out of this one? And will they, in fact, lose some of their most coveted Premier League titles? So between 2009-10 and 2017-18, Manchester City had won 3 Premier League titles, one of which were in 2011-12, 13-14 and 17-18 itself. Then after that, of course, they won in 18-19, 20-21 and 21-22. So potentially these years, these formative years for Manchester City will have seen as an impactor on these years afterwards. I don't think they'll be punished for any of those seasons, in my opinion. So therefore, if there's any Liverpool fans in the comments wondering if they'll get any Premier League titles, it's not going to happen. But retrospective punishment has to happen here for Manchester City. It seriously does. If you have a look at their spending, they've spent over £1 billion in the last 7 years. Only Chelsea have spent that more. Only Chelsea have spent more money than that, and they have done it in another way in which financial fair play has been exploited. So that brings me on to my next point. Where should we change financial fair play? As a believer in the distribution of wealth, I would say that financial fair play is a little unfair to keep the big boys at the table, but also it's needed in order for, so we say, smaller clubs like Manchester City, like others, say smaller clubs like Manchester City, from financially doping and overtaking in ways that aren't sporting and aren't merited from their sporting achievements. And yes, financial fair play is there to keep the rich rich, but it's also there to keep it regulated. So teams that can come up through the Championship or whoever are entitled to a fair amount of money and not being blown out of the water by someone, say, who have thrice quadruple their budget. Man City have been eating at a different table for years in this respect, and it really does not surprise me that this charge has come. Do I think they'll be punished? Yes. I think this is the one time where they will be punished. I think there's no way that they can get out of any punishment, but realistically, they'll be hoping that it's a financial punishment rather than a performance punishment. But it is an unprecedented amount of laws broken here. Absolutely ridiculous amount of laws. And if Manchester City are punished, I think other clubs may have a little eye on them as well. Chelsea as well. But this investigation has been happening for 4 years. I don't know how anyone could be so blind as to not realise what was going on here. I think everyone, it's been a running joke almost for years at how corrupt Manchester City have been. Of course, they're innocent at this present moment. They're not guilty until proven guilty in the law of court, in a court of law, but they're innocent until proven guilty, and they're not guilty in a court of law at the moment. But yeah, it's going to be a really, really strange and dark period for Manchester City, both on and off the field at the moment. And I would trust that Pep Guardiola is the man to navigate them out of this. But whether he would want to stay around with all the politics at the club, I'm not too sure. Let me know what you think about Manchester City's scandal in the comments below. What do you think will happen? What punishment will they get? And I will catch you in the next video. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.